Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Sorry, no canine tonight. But I do have some chapstick on. It gets insanely dry up here up in North Texas. It's very difficult on the lips from time to time. Hold on, because I realize now I'm kind of ridiculous. There we go. Okay. Nothing major this video. I actually just wanted to talk about one of Mr. Joseph Kosinski's movies starring Tom Cruise that I saw recently, Oblivion. Probably a lot of you out there have seen this movie, or, procured it through whatever means you procure movies through. I figure nobody buys movies anymore unless you're like, 70 and you don't know any better. Or you just really want to give, a movie studio some money. But, Oblivion's one of those movies that they previewed for quite a while. It seems like it previewed for like a year or something like that. I may have brought this up in another video, but I don't know if anybody remembers that movie Supernova. But I don't know what... I never saw Supernova. And I don't know what happened to the damn thing, but that movie must have previewed for like 3 or 4 years or something like that. Like, you'd go to see a movie, and Supernova would be previewed before it, and you're starting to wonder, like, when the hell is this movie coming out? Is it in development hell, or what, I figured that movie was previewed so much, that, just everybody got tired of it and didn't even want to see it. In fact, I'm going to look that up right this second. How long was Supernova previewed for? It doesn't say, but I mean years. Anybody who knows the movie I'm talking about knows this. I just wanna fly. It had that Sugar Ray song before it. Years. So Oblivion wasn't quite like that. But it did preview for a little while, and the previews looked really, really good. And I'll go out on record as saying this as well. I would not be a huge Tom Cruise fan. I don't like the guy, per se, but he is a very good actor. I have to give him props there. That's all he's ever done since he was like, 18 or something. And he's in good movies. Steven Spielberg uses him a lot. A lot of big directors use the guy. So, regardless of how I feel about Tom Cruise, he's in a lot of good stuff. So, actually, I kind of like that green a little bit. So, there is all that to consider. Now, I have a relative right now who just loves to know how a movie's going to end before, like, she'll sit down, we'll be about to watch something, and she'll sit down and she'll be like, okay, how does this end? It better have a good ending or I don't want to see it. Like, and because of that, she kind of has a tendency to blurt out the end of a movie before anybody else has watched it as well. So she kind of, so I'm not going to do that, is what I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil anything, but, and I may have said this before as well, but there are really only about 10 stories out there, right? The Matrix is essentially Tron, right? All the pirate movies that came out are, I mean, all these stories have been done before. And as you get a little older, as you start sliding kind of into your mid-30s, early 40s, you start to realize that all the movies that are coming out, you've really kind of seen already. It doesn't make them bad, it just kind of makes you realize how thin human thought really is. Because, like, they're only, like, really... It's very, very, very difficult to look for an original, or to come up with something that's completely original, story and plot-wise these days. So, if that's what you're looking for, then maybe, movies aren't really for you, because, you're going to be ultimately disappointed after a couple of decades. And a lot of those older movies are kind of fun to watch anyway. I still like a lot of 80s movies and stuff. So, is Oblivion somewhat predictable? Yes. In some ways, the story and some of the plot lines are quite predictable. But that's not really the beautiful thing behind Oblivion. Oblivion's just a beautiful, beautiful movie in many regards. The sets are just gorgeous. The dwellings and vehicles these people use are just they're just gorgeous. The acting's really, really good. It was great to see Morgan Freeman playing a character that's not like a behind-the-scenes sort of CIA operative kind of guy. He was kind of a bad mofo in this movie. It was so well acted. You really felt like the relationships in this movie were kind of genuine, and there were sort of issues that kind of were coming up due to some people's relations with each other. I don't know where they. I don't know where they built half the stuff in the movie. I said I wasn't going to give stuff away, but there's one set that's essentially the top part of the Empire State Building, and it's that's what it is. I mean, it's that. I mean, it may not be like much of it, but like the gift shop up at the top, and the thing with the things you can look through. Though, I mean, at least a portion of that was in that movie, and it looked practical. And probably the other just stunning thing about Oblivion was the music. Just it's mainly done by one group called M83, and they're kind of a progressive sort of techno band, and they have a couple of vocalists they use, but the music was really sort of its own character in the movie. The movie wouldn't have been the same without the music. Kind of like Blade Runner. Blade Runner is one of my favorite films. If it's on, I will watch it. And I just wouldn't like Blade Runner the same way if it didn't have that just beautiful, beautiful soundtrack. And I kind of feel the same way about Oblivion. And, I think that, personally, I've been through a pretty big journey in the last, 4 years. Going on 5, I guess, now. So there is some interest to me, at least, in seeing kind of what Jack, Tom Cruise's character, kind of goes through in discovering himself. Kind of trying to figure out who he is, and the fact that he really cares about that. He really cares about knowing who he is and figuring out who he is, and just learning about himself. And there are other characters in the movie who are sort of blind to that whole thing. They just don't feel the same way about it. So, the journey that a couple of the main characters go on is very inspiring and sort of interesting as well. I'm putting this movie kind of up there with Blade Runner, Fifth Element, Oblivion. Like, really good sci-fi is just hard to find these days. Really difficult to find. But I was impressed by this movie. Again, perhaps I said that already, or I've said that in many ways. Let me just recap. What did I talk about? Sets were really nice. The equipment and stuff was really good. Good CG, good use of green screening, good use of practical effects, good use of sets. All the good guy stuff had this sort of whiteness to it. It's like all the good guys were sort of like in the whole old MacBook thing, and all of the questionable characters sort of had the whole black hat kind of uniform thing going on. Kind of as the movie goes on, Jack's uniform becomes a little dirty. There's a transition kind of happening. I tend to kind of pick movies apart like that. A lot of people would probably say I'm just, it just got dirty, but I think that there's some type of symbolism there. Action. Lots of really, really good action in it. There's Tom, for the ladies, Tom Cruise is in it. The guy that plays Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones is in it. Morgan Freeman's in it. He's old, but handsome guy, I guess. For the guys, there are a couple of really kind of pretty chicks in it. There's the kind of couple of the couple of main characters in it were, let's see, Olga Kurylenko was, she's this kind of Asian Russian chick. She's gorgeous. And then there's this this Andrea Riseborough woman who is not half bad looking either. She's British. And then Zoe Bell was also in it. She didn't really do too many stunts or anything, but she was in it. So there's appeal on many levels for the movie as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this video here. I'm trying to make shorter ones these days. This is just about as long. If you haven't seen Oblivion, get a hold of it, go out and see it. I think if you like science fiction or like Tom Cruise or Morgan Freeman or just movies that are beautiful and moving in different ways, moving is a good word for Oblivion, then you probably really like this movie. My dad loved it. My stepmom loved it. So, and she's very hard to impress when it comes to movies, I find. So the fact that she liked it, says something. Anyway, goemonronin out.